my family's property in Australia, alive a day, and it's really great to be back in Oz for a little while and be at home. We're about to be leading a Vitality Now Ayurvedic detox that's coming up this Friday. It's a 7-day long Ayurvedic detox that my family and I lead in Australia. We've been doing it at the property for the last 4 years, and then now the property will be sold, so this next two will be the last ones.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back to our Instagram live. Today's topic, we're going to talk about energetic body. Ooh. What is it? We like that. Anyway, which is also known as meridian channels in Chinese medicine, which is in Ayurveda. We also have a similar system, but we're going to talk more about that. I personally don't know much about this, so I'm actually excited with this episode because that's another opportunity for me to learn from this brainy man next to me. Yeah.
So to first think of meridian channels, we really have to start with what is prana, what is chi, what is this life force energy, because these are channels that are conducting this energy. And basically all of creation has been built with prana, chi, life force energy that's moving throughout it, and it's guiding and directing the creation. This life force intelligence is what's guiding how evolution forms, from the first sparks of suns to creating the human being, this 5-element process where the ether element is most open and able to perceive and communicate back with the godliness. The air element is very high in the human and the mind. It's guiding this process of evolution that takes place up to creating a human being, and this will take place throughout creation in many different forms, yet it'll always move through this elemental evolution up towards ether, back towards God. So these elemental processes guided by prana. In our modern science terms, they would call it BioPhotonic light. It's the light that anything that's living is releasing. So when a living being is anywhere, it will release light. And under this biophotonic light, even rocks will emit a little bit. But if it's a being that can move or create heat, it will emit even more light. And all different spectrums of light are emitted from a human being, just as the sun emits so many different spectrums of light. The spectrums of light from the sun are communication molecules that come down to us and tell us, oh, it's daytime. Prana, chi, life force, intelligence is communicating through these channels across the body. So this is the prana, this is the energy that's moving, and then once it comes into our system, it moves through specific channels easier. This communication mechanism, this intelligence that's guiding our body will like to flow through certain areas. And depending on what the frequency of the light is, it will gravitate towards certain meridians or channels within the body and tend to stay in those areas easier. So meridian pathways are like the electrical channels that flow through our body, and they guide whether or not, oh yes, do we want more power, more prana, life force intelligence in this part of the body now, or do we want more power, more prana over in a different part of the body? They're the circuit system that says, oh, it's this time of the day for this part of the body to have more power, more prana, more life force energy and light emanating from that part of the body. And at a different time of the day, it'll direct it to another channel somewhere else. So it's just like the electrical system in a house. It moves electricity to the places where it's most needed. And depending on when it's needed, we guide that electricity. We guide it through control panels. We go, oh, I want more power, the lights to be on outdoors. I want the lights to go indoors because now I'm indoors. These are guiding the prana, the chi, to certain areas. So this is moving across the body, and along these channels, we have acupressure points. And these are like the control panels. It's like a power switch on the wall where you can go, oh, I want to turn the light on there. We can go, oh, I want to move some of the prana, the light, to this part of the body. So by pushing on this one, I'm working on a specific large intestine meridian that comes up here. Or I can push here in the hand and go, oh, this point is the control panel that works with wind and heat in the head. So if I want to direct and influence the chi, the prana that's up here, I can use the point on the hand to influence that, large intestine 4.
So I have questions, by the way.
Yeah.
So first of all, about this energetic body part of ours. So every being basically is not just limited to physical form.
That's right.
Is there any proof, scientific proof that can prove that we are not limited to just physical body?
There's quite a few things on that. One of them is studies by Dr. Klinninghard, and he is an Austrian medical doctor that also has lived in America for a large part of his life. He teaches both in Europe and in America, and he's shown that there's interactions in the body that are moving at faster than electrical activity, which the nervous system moves at an electrical speed. Only the rest of this light body can move at above that, the speed of light. And so he's showing that specific enzymatic reactions inside the body, enzymes are created to help us digest different things and to turn one thing into another thing. They're like keys that make molecules change into different molecules. So we make these enzymes, and the process of changing certain molecules into other molecules is happening so fast that if it was a chemical process that was doing this, it would be so slow it would take months to do the same process for how many different reactions are going on. If it was an electrical process that was guiding this molecular change of enzymes, then it would take a few hours. And that's our nervous system running at massive speed, and only if it's the speed of light can it communicate so quickly to be able to guide the process of how these things work inside the body. Here we have another picture from Dr. Klinninghardt's PowerPoint, and it's showing a meridian channel on one side of the body completely lit up with light. This is an infrared camera light that it's showing here. This specific meridian is known as the stomach meridian. The stomach meridian runs from underneath the eye all the way down the front of the body, and it's quite superficial. It's not really deep and interior in the body. This specific meridian is close to the surface of the body. So it comes down here and it goes all the way down the front, and I'm not going to go down the table to my foot. But here on the body is the important part for this picture. On the other side of the body over here, there are acupuncture needles that are positioned in one side of the body on the stomach meridian. And here we can see the opposite side of the body, where there are no acupuncture needles, lit up with light. BioPhotonic light, the light that living beings emit. What we see on the camera is infrared, yet many different lights would be emitted from this stomach meridian based upon those acupuncture needles being put in the other stomach meridian, a connected electrical channel circuit that runs through the body and guides the intelligence of the body at a faster than light speed.
Okay. Very scientific.
That was the geeky bit.
The difference between Kimmana and I, often people ask me a question that I know the answer because Kimmana explained all of these things to me, and I was like, yeah, I knew that, but I can't describe that like how Kimmana, so basically it's good.
It's good because it's good.
Okay, so that's answered, and that's already also backed up by modern science, that we are not just limited to physical being, right? We have this other part of the body, which is one of it is the energetic body, and then another thing that I'm also interested to know is that what's the correlation? Will they affect each other? Would something that's happening in our energetic body, let's say that's gets some imbalance, will that affect the physical body and vice versa, or which one is more powerful when it comes to affecting?
Both are going to affect each other. If we look at the way in which we treat the energy body, the three main categories of treatment for treating the energy body. The first one, the most important, would be you. Your own body, what you think in your consciousness, and how you guide the movement of your body. Your breath, this is prana in the Sanskrit. Prana is moving in and out on the breath. Pranayama, control of this prana through the breath and the way in which we use the breath. How we use our consciousness is directing and moving this prana, and especially how we move, because just as I've shown, the stomach meridian is superficial and coming down the front. There are meridians all over the body. There's 12 main ones that are used in Chinese medicine, and those 12 really have a massive influence on movement. So remember, it can take energy to make energy. Energy is always being changed and converted, so it's our movement that makes prana inside the body. When we move, we create heat, we create light, we create pressure. We're building prana with our movement. So we need to move in all directions to be able to properly stimulate the movement through all of these 12 major meridians. And consciously breathe the energy through them. Number one. That's
breathing
the most important.
And movement.
Breathe,
something
movement,
that
consciousness.
We do to ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is, what is that? When there's clients want to have a sessions, and then they have this, what you call that? Perspective that I come here and you fix me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because one of the things is actually their own actions.
Firstly, your own actions. How you move, how you think, will start the most powerful part of that process. Then,
next,
number two is what a therapist could do to you. So if you're going to a Chinese medicine session, it might be common acupressure, or moxibustion, burning of herbs on top of the body. That's the prana, the chi being released of that herb right there in that moment. All of that light, boom, coming out of that herb and emanating into the body, moxibustion. Needles, ideally specific types of needles. Certain metals can be favorable because of the chi, the prana that they release.
On that
metals, Ayurveda would use gold and silver would be their two favorite metals, depending on how the prana needed to be moved and what prana they needed to add to certain areas. They would use gold, silver, or other specific metal needles.
I didn't know they have many different types of.
Yes, they have a whole system of
Expensive
Ayurvedic
needle.
acupuncture, and also in Chinese they used certain gold and silver needles as well.
Okay.
Both of the systems, Chinese and Ayurveda, both used gold and silver needles at different times. Although it's not so common acupuncture within Ayurveda, there was a Buddhist university within India, like about 2,000 years ago. I don't have the name right now, and it was a major concentration for health. And a lot of acupuncture was taught there as part of their key curriculum.
Why is it not commonly practiced in Ayurveda?
I think a lot of that part has been lost throughout the Ayurvedic system, compared to it's much stronger within the Chinese system of these acupressure points and needling and other things. They have a slightly different take on the way in which they use the body and where their priority is.
What about... so that's the second one, so we still stay there. And then
treatment of the meridian, three main categories that I said. First one, your consciousness and movement. Second one, what someone else is doing to you. Acupressure, moxa, needles, using tools or other people. So you're using a tool on you, or another person is doing something to you.
What about massage?
Massage, another person doing something to you. So
I think that's the advantage of living in Indonesia or Bali, is that you can
just getting a regular massage. That pressure
still
is
affordable.
creating kinetic energy, movement energy, and it's starting to create prana because of the kinetic energy. That's creating infrared energy, heat, radiant energy. That's creating electrical energy that the nervous system uses. So many types of prana just through touching someone.
So one is do to yourself. Second one is something that others do to
you.
And the third
machines,
one is?
Third is substances you consume. The prana, the life force that's inside those, will add light to your body and change all of your meridians. In fact, the substances that you consume can be so powerful that you can detect them with German meridian measuring equipment just through putting them into your field. So you hold that substance in your field. Here is your energy field. This is very close into your energy field. You hold something like this right over the thymus, and it will influence the rest of your energetic field quite strongly. So any substance can be tested and seen. Is this favorable to the person or negative to the person? Through using electrical currents in the body and seeing, are they flowing well, are they flowing less, through just putting the substance in the person's field. So substances, consuming them, will be more powerful than putting it in the field for a temporary moment. Yeah.
I would like to share my experience on that machine, bioresonance
machines. Yeah.
So when I've, what is that, 4 years ago? Was it 3 years? Anyway, I have, I don't know that I even have intolerance of allergy with foods for substances. And then it started creating pimples on my face. And then, I mean, I'm Indonesian, normal Indonesian who doesn't even understand that there's correlation between food and acne, my pimple. And then so Kimmana at that time, he still have these bioresonance machines from Germany. And then we test several substances, including chili, my favorite. Used to, actually still love it.
Used to eat it every day, now can not eat it every day.
Chili, and then dairy, and there's other substances as well. And then it's really interesting. Basically, the machine was like, he put the substance there, and then there's this, I don't know, metal or something.
Electrical probe.
That electrical probe, that's the terminology. And then he put it in certain in different
acupressure points. So I'm looking at these control panels that I talked about, the terminals and the control panels for the Meridian System. And depending on which control panel I interact with, I'm measuring different parts of the body. So I could say, oh, I want to see, does this food affect the small intestine? Then I'm going to interact with this control panel here. I'm going to send electrical currents into this control panel and see when it goes through the body what comes out the other side, and that's going to tell me a different thing depending on which control panel I sent the electrical current into. Will give me a different part of the body. And then I test dairy, and specifically it was the liver that was really not digesting dairy so well for Zia. So it's that sensitivity to know, oh, this area of the body will accumulate not only just negative prana, a physical toxin that may linger inside the system for longer with that.
And apparently this machine, this bioresonance machine, actually tell the truth about...
Told something that she didn't know about herself.
But
3 years of diet trialing later, and she's still confirming and going, oh, I'll test it again. I'll test it again. Oh, I still achieved the same results. Oh, yep. Cheese, pimples in the same place again.
Question about that, you know, like a friend of mine in the past say that, but aren't we get adjusted to it, you know, like adapt, evolve? Is that something that we can, like, from your like allergy?
Both happen, yeah. Allergies are not permanent. We can adapt. Every person can change things, and depending on the severity and the person, some allergies are more challenging than others, and the genetics, the karma, the place they're in, many different factors can mean they need to be avoided for longer periods.
For different individuals.
Even that bioresonance machine has a treatment model within it where we can reduce the allergy and its sensitivity for a period of time. I've had allergies that were much more intense in my youth that are no longer of the same severity now, so they're changing up and down all the time.
Maybe we should buy the machine again and do the things with my dairy.
Travel around the world with a $6,000 machine again.
It's broken now, so. Next one, I think we haven't talked about the Ayurvedic version of these energetic channels, which is called Marma. Can you explain more
so
of that?
In the Indian version, they have called channels is Nadis. They're the Meridian System of the Indian version, and most of them are more subtle than the Chinese version. The Chinese ones are closer towards physicality in their conductance, and they have more electrical activity through the Chinese one, whereas this is even more subtle than that. They operate mainly around the spine and are interconnecting channels that just go through the torso and the Nadis system from India that's predominantly known. It's much more to do with our higher consciousness and the subtle mind, whereas you won't really influence those ones as much through physical movement. You'll need to use consciousness, meditation, to influence these specific nadis. You could use breath and consciousness the most, and they will influence much more powerfully than the meridians, which start to become more superficial as the 12 meridians from Chinese medicine.
That's Nadis.
And then they can have Marma, which are pressure points, again, where you can interact. They're the control panels. Like acupressure, there's Marma points. They're areas where there's control panels, yet in the Indian system, these control panels have a little bit more physical orientation as well. In the classics of Ayurveda, the Marma points were not just about energy centers. They were specific areas for surgery and also understanding when people are at war. If someone gets cut in this area of the body, how do we deal with it? That's a big difference between Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. Huge surgery components from Ayurveda. Chinese medicine didn't cut into the body. They were in a Buddhist society where cutting was not allowed. So Ayurveda cut and did lots of surgery type things to deal with wars and other things. So their marmas are a mix between energy, prana channels, and physical locations where therapy or injury would be very important.
So it doesn't have direct correlation. You can't just...
No, you can't directly mash them together. They're two different systems. So in the school that we run, the Ayurvedic school that I've co-created, we teach both systems. We don't mash them. We go, this is the Ayurveda system, and that's what we teach the most. Ayurveda. But when it comes to the energy channels, the 12 meridians from Chinese medicine are completely different. They can integrate in and be understood between these two systems. What's the basic principle of Ayurveda?
It's not related directly with
It's not related with this class, but I would say the most basic principle of Ayurveda is Samanya Vishesh Siddhant. Which means we balance through opposing qualities. The science of qualities that balance each other. If you want to be more grounded and stable, then you spend time with grounded and stable people. You eat grounded and stable foods. You live in a house that's built that's grounded and stable and solid.
Which means if we correlate that with this energetic channels, if we want to have more grounded,
if we wanted to have more grounded energy in the body, then we'd need to look at grounding practices, and movements would build prana that is associated with the earth element.
Will be? Can you tell us what's the meridian channels that can help for that?
For being more grounded and stable?
For Vata out there like me?
Yeah, so the Vata meridians that tend to create more this airy lightness, drying, the kidney and the bladder meridian. The kidney meridian runs up the front of the body here and comes to the front of the collarbones. It's a very deep meridian inside the body. Some of the most important points are here along the feet. So
Sorry
again,
for the food.
Grounded and stable. Where do we think of that? This is what's on the ground, yeah? So these points that are down here, and using that earth energy, the ground, and the meridian points that are around that will influence grounded and stable. Yet there would be foods and so many things. So the most basic principle of Ayurveda is balancing through equal opposites. If you're too airy up here, where do we ground? Down there, equal opposites. We work on the other side of the body. We work with an opposite opposing food. It really is a system of balance through that, and lots of ways to understand balance. Pranayama affects the meridian is our next one down here. So pranayama, prana, life force energy, yama, to control, or in Sanskrit they often make double words that go in, prana ayama, to liberate, to move. So it's the movement of prana around the body in a controlled way to both liberate it and build it. So it directly affects the meridian system through the way in which we draw prana into our body and then specifically and consciously direct that prana to a certain meridian or channel. We can build up prana inside that meridian, so we can go to a place where specific prana is located, let's say the mountains, and we go, oh, I want to build this type of prana inside the person. So that environment will have certain characteristics, certain qualities around it, and we can draw upon that prana and build it up through the system through practices like pranayama, Indian breathing techniques to draw and hold prana inside the body. We could go to a waterfall. We could do it in all different locations to build that prana.
Which is why it's very, very difficult to find an ideal place to live of Kimmana, because it is behind in a mountain, and then there's like water source, and then there's this, and there's
views towards the horizon, no pollution in the mountains with a waterfall nearby. That's the ideal.
If anyone knows a place like that, let us know.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few.
That we can buy a land probably. Chakra is related to Nadi.
Well, chakras are related to Nadis. The Nadis, the energy channels from the Indian system, flow between chakras. So there's chakras, energy centers. They're like places where the electrical energy is converted from a higher voltage down to a lower voltage, and then it's distributed out by the nadis or the meridians. Chakras are the conversion centers where power is changed from one form to another.
And it's a Dominic from medicineroom.net.au. Is that?
Oh, yeah, Dom. Cool.
She asked, can you explain more about your future courses?
Yeah, there's a few future courses that we've got coming up. At the moment, there's the Vitality Nows that we're starting on Friday. Both of those Ayurvedic cleanses detox, they're full. So I won't talk too long about that. That's here at the property. The next one we've got coming up is a month-long live-in Thai Vedic event. We call it Holistic Yoga Therapist. Even though it says yoga therapist as part of it and you're learning movement and meditation therapies, I'm going to talk a little bit about more what I think of it is to be holistic. So what I tried to do is I thought, what is the minimum that someone needs to be truly holistic? And when I say holistic, it's not like holistic nutrition. If you say holistic nutrition, it's not holistic. It's only nutrition. Now, holistic means you've got a toolkit to be able to cover the consciousness, deep spirituality. So the Thai Vedic 200 hour goes into that. Meditation techniques, how to connect someone back with the divine energy that's guiding our lives. Then next, the air element, the nervous system, the mind, how to get them interacting in their life in a way that they move their body right, that they create their form, that they breathe and move. That's the air element techniques, the psychology techniques to work with the mind. Then when we look at the fire body, we need to look at the metabolism of the body. Here, the main principle that we'll learn is Agni and Ama, and the relationship between understanding Agni, transformation, life force in the body, and Ama, half-digested byproducts. These are words from the Ayurvedic system. They're lenses to understand how the metabolism can thrive or it can get smothered with these half-digested byproducts, and they understand the metabolic body through its 4 different Agni types that we have, Agni tendencies. Mine is fast, Tikshna Agni, whereas Zia's is irregular, changeable Agni. So
just like how I like it.
Yeah. So understanding these Agni tendencies, that would be the 3rd area to be holistic, the metabolism body. The 4th area to be holistic is connection. Now, water element is like when you touch someone else, we're creating this connection of love and share, and the main connection hormone that's secreted in the body is oxytocin. It makes us want to serve another person just as much as ourselves, and it's secreted mainly when we touch other people.
Yeah.
So although it's a holistic yoga therapist, there's 3 modules. There's 90 hours of curriculum devoted towards body work, interacting with another person, how you touch them, how you connect with them, a whole language system outside of verbal, and just here with physical. Therapy for the shoulders, therapies for the hips with physical, understanding the meridians, acupressure points, a whole area devoted towards that within our curriculum. Yet some understanding of this must be holistic. And the last one, the earth element, is our routine, our daily regimes, the things that we do in our lifestyle. And we look at the Ayurvedic lenses of this called Dinacharya, how to guide someone in specific practices for different time periods of the day, the best lifestyle medicine that they can work with.
Cool.
So
Let me
that course is coming up on the
12th of November until 9th of December.
And that's going to be in Bali.
In Ubud.
In Ubud at Dragonfly Village. It's a month-long live-in.
More info on that course, you can go to www.thaivedicyoga.com.
Great to share with you all.
Thank you so much for joining us again this week. We're going to be back again next week, but because next week we are having a detox retreat here at Alaya Verde at Kimmana's parents' property. Next week we're going to do it on Sunday at 3 p.m. Brisbane time. We're going to talk about exercise. Something people into or not.
Holistic exercise, the 5 elements to be holistic within your exercise practice. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day, your week, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye.